Isn't it just incredible that we live in a world where there is a month of November? And in said month of November, we all kind of choose around the world to make this month about words and about like the worship of words and the creation of books. Whether or not you're choosing to partake in writing a novel, or you could use this time to journal more, or you could even just use this time to read a bunch and appreciate language. But how lucky are we? I mean, really. I got to, wake up this morning and write 1,600 words on a beautiful typewriter, and just off to a great start.
So one of my core beliefs is that day twos are always harder than day ones. And I don't know if that's a good belief to have or not, but it just keeps being true. So day two was tough, but wrestled the bear and got some words. I have some ideas, but most of what I wrote today is going to get scratched, but still. Wrote anyway.
So some plus sides is one, it's day 3 and I'm on track. So 1,600 words I've done every day, so that's great. The other plus side is my grandmother made it into the story so far, which has been awesome because I lost my grandmother this year, and it's just really cool that she kind of came through. So I'm really happy about that. But the negative is that I'm still trying to figure out what the core of this book is, and I have it in my mind. I know it, but every time I'm trying to articulate it, it's just getting muddled and confusing because I'm trying to connect a still life painting to a still life as a human. Like, my theory is like, if we could slow down and appreciate the objects that are around us and the world in nature, that we will in turn feel more connected to ourselves and happier. But I'm having trouble articulating it. One thing I'm trying differently this year that I've never done before is, instead of just like blasting through and making a whole first draft, I'm rewriting certain sections, or in my case, like certain chapters. So for example, yesterday I wrote this chapter on the table, which is a part of the still life that I'm exploring. And today I rewrote the entire chapter without reading at all what I wrote yesterday, to kind of just come up with a couple of different versions so that when I do go back and edit, I have even more material to work with. One, which is a plus, but also it gives me this better sense of like trying to figure out like really what I'm trying to say and consolidate my words instead of just like writing too much word vomit, which is totally what I do, but it helps. So yeah, interesting so far. It's so late, but I'm so glad I wrote. Such as a writer life, you know? Like, you don't want to, and then you do, and you're like, oh, that was awesome. Why don't I do that more often?
Hi.
NaNoWriMo day 5, day 6, and we're on the ferry, and I haven't written anything.
She's writing right now.
Writing in my mind.
Typewriter's just off camera.
Yeah, sure. But I'm on the struggle bus because I skipped 2 days, and I feel like the book is running away. But I'm going to enjoy the simple things like my cup of tea this morning. Because that's what I was trying to write about. I was trying to write about the magic in a mug and like the magic in a cup of tea or a cup of coffee first thing, and like what makes that so special. And like, it's something I think about all the time. Why was that hard? I don't know. So it turns out that trying to write a novel and working full-time and being in a book club and trying to do a YouTube channel and being like a good partner and daughter and sibling and friend is kind of a lot of work. So I'm only a little bit behind, but having fun. The brain fog is real. Day 10. I did it. Another day. I've worked before I work. I'm so, word puddle. Word puddle is my words for today. Word puddle. We wrote 3,200 words today. We're catching up, especially since we didn't write yesterday because we weren't feeling great. We are feeling better-ish. I'm just not feeling it. I took yesterday off. I'm taking today off. It's Sunday. It's just not, I'm not feeling it. Sorry, typewriter. You're so beautiful, but I'm tired. I need to rest, and I need to honor that, even though I feel like guilty for breaking the rules. Meh. It's meh. Just gotta keep going. Yeah. 1,600 words? Did I do it? Did I do it? I did. Yes.
The page has stayed blank today.
I've been looking forward to this chapter. candle and matches because it's all about creative fire and how to, connect with your creative fire. And I was writing about this visualization of like, what is your candle? What is your creative metaphorical candle, so to speak? Like, is it unlit? Is it burning brightly, or is it burnt out? And I was like, oh, that's me. I'm the burnt out candle. Like, I have great ideas. I'm just like working super hard in all areas of my life. And for some reason, like, putting the pressure of like, oh, I have to make it to 50K, otherwise it's not real NaNoWriMo. Where does that even come from? Because I don't offer that like judgment to anybody else, but I judge myself. And my body is telling me to slow down. And more importantly, I think this has to do with like me not trusting the project, or like not trusting my own creative instincts, because I'm somehow afraid that if I stop or don't make it to 50K or take a day off, that I'm going to lose the idea, which is just a myth. That's just absurd. I took a long, much needed break. My family came in for Thanksgiving, and I've been feeling guilty about that until I just sat down to write and realized that I'm on the last chapter. What I'm writing is really short, and it's just kind of meant to be. The whole chapter is about a pitcher, like this idea of outpouring from our hearts, outpouring from and sharing our true selves and putting ourselves out there. And it was so interesting because I haven't written in so long that it was like like all these words just like needed to come out of me. It's really beautiful, and I'm just feeling really refreshed and just so grateful. Like, I feel like this whole book has been exactly what I needed for this month, and yeah, I'm just feeling really grateful. It's not what I expected. I took a ton of time off and didn't write, and that's okay. And I feel like that's me reaching more balance in my life, which I'm not typically the best with, so I'm just grateful. It's day 29 of NaNoWriMo somehow. I don't know how this has happened, but it's happening. Oh, a good stretch. But yeah, things are going well. I don't know how tomorrow's the last day, but I'm on track to finish. I did the last chapter last night, and I really am just working on this closing kind of wrap-up chapter, or like more like little essay thing. So I'm gonna finish. It's been a weird NaNoWriMo because I've taken a long chunk of time off in the middle, but I'm really glad I did because it just feels fresh, it feels right, and I don't know, I just listened to myself, and I'm glad for that. That's it. Day 30, NaNoWriMo, another one come and gone. Year 5. Oh my gosh. So I literally just finished typing and then I turned the camera on, so I'm like, let me gather myself a little bit. Oh man. I don't know what I want to say. This writing process was interesting because I was writing about how to be more present and appreciate the small things in life. But meanwhile, while writing this book, I felt like a lot of things were trying to snag and grab my attention away from being in the present moment and exploring how to be more in the present moment. So it was an interesting exercise because like every day that I would write or want to write, other things obviously would come up, which was kind of part of what I was writing about. I think one of my favorite things about this, of writing this, was each chapter kind of felt like a mini essay. So each object that I looked at had a different kernel of wisdom, and I tried to, just as an exercise, connect a piece of that wisdom into something from my own life. So some of these chapters feel a little bit like, I'm not going to say a memoir, but like there's just a little story from my life that's associated with that wisdom of that object. I think, yeah, not just made it a lot of fun because I never knew I didn't know what stories from my own life were going to come up and bubble up to the surface. One of my favorite ones and one of the tough ones was Pitcher. Pitcher I saved for the end because I think of pictures as this kind of like outpouring of the self. You know, when you're pouring something out of a pitcher, you're not hiding that liquid, you know, and usually a pitcher to me is like a very decadent object. I don't use pitchers in my everyday life. I use pitchers if there's a special kind of drink that's been made, whether it's like homemade lemonade or I really like to make iced tea, things like that. And the intention with the pitcher is to share it, to share with others. And I think that's kind of where I need to step out a little bit more in my life. Is I have the creative fire and I have all these creative projects going on, but to outpour that and to share that with others, and to share that vulnerable piece of myself, not just in the things that I create, but also just the vulnerable speakings of the heart, right, with others. So the lesson of pitcher, I think, is really important, and one that I don't think I fleshed out quite enough in this. Like, I'm definitely gonna, like I said, need to go back and do some major overhaul editing, but it just feels really good to, like I've said in previous clips from this video, I think we have creative instincts. I think we all have instincts, right? And I think mine were telling me in this project to not be so like regimented. I'm a very disciplined person, and that's one of the things that I like about myself, but in other times it can really put constraints and strain on what I do and what I work on, and it becomes more of a chore than a joy. So I'm glad that I had like a lot of air in this project, and I think I played that right. But you know, it's hard for me not to just like focus on the things that I need to change. But such is life, right? And I think one of the biggest lessons from this book is learning how to, you know, say to ourselves, you know, look, we all want things. We all want more than probably what we have in one way or another, right? We all have dreams. We all have places or things or things we want that we don't have right now. And I could spend all my time, we could spend our time focusing on those things, or we could spend our time really appreciating what's around us. Whether that's our mug in our morning tea, or whether that is a hug from someone that we really love, or a deep conversation, right? And I know that sounds so simplistic because it is, and that's the point, I think. So anyway, I still clearly am wrestling with it, but I'm happy to share, and just always grateful for this experience. And how was your NaNoWriMo? You know, if you participated, I'm curious. You know, it is a journey. It's an up and down journey. And yeah, how was yours? I'd like to know. And I just want to thank you, as always, for supporting me and supporting just the practice of writing in general, and supporting this kind of stiller, peaceful life. So thank you so much. Sending so much creative fire, and yeah, take it easy today.